cold. Got the heater back again. We're gonna have to run this because it's very chilly outside. As you can see, everything's covered in frost. It is freezing temperatures for sure. It's not too bad inside here actually. It feels like an insulated space. It is still cold because I'm not running any heat in here yet, but we're gonna run the heater, warm things up a little bit, and let's catch you up on where we're at. So, it's cold out. The windows are starting to undo because it is getting warmer in here with the heater running. I'm also using a different microphone, so we'll see if it helps at all for audio retention and if it's any better with me further from the camera like this. It's like a wireless clip-on. So if you saw the last episode, you'll know that we got the wood paneling up to this cabinet. So now we need to get up to the shower, basically. I didn't do any work on the bus yesterday. I had some tasks to do, some other obligations I had to take care of. So I basically just had some errands. But I did buy some plumbing stuff for the bus. So I got some really large tubing for the fill and drain, because I don't want it to be slow filling and draining, as well as a bunch of fittings, and I got some PEX line. But if we can get this wall covered up back there today, then we might do some plumbing install. Otherwise, the plumbing will be in another video, more than likely. There are a couple more fittings I need, and a couple other various things like a shower head and a valve for the shower, which it just has to be an on-off valve. But I don't want a quarter turn for that. I want to be able to control it a little bit better. There were some design considerations that I thought about reviewing the last episode with the water storage was one of them, because for the freshwater tank, it's on top in between the cabinets here, and you don't want your fresh water exposed to sunlight. So I may have to paint that tank or get it covered up so that there isn't a bunch of light, because right now the countertop will be over the height of the windows, so this open area would just shine underneath my counter in that space. So that's not ideal for my water tank. Those tanks also need to be cleaned out before they get fully installed, because they have some plastic shavings in them and probably some debris or dirt or something in it. So I'm gonna wash those out before they get installed, and before I put fittings on them, obviously. But yeah, I think the main goal right now is to finish the wood paneling behind the counters and get these guys secured. Yeah, and then I have to cut holes in the side of this one where the water heater is to get plumbing in and out of there. So yeah, we need to get the back end of it all settled, and then we can maybe cut some lengths of PEX to fit in behind the counter so that I can secure them into place so they're not bouncing around. But honestly, I don't think it's a huge issue if they're not secured like all over the place. I mean, PEX is pretty flexible and such, so I think I don't think it needs to be overkill for securing the PEX down, unless there's like a valve or some kind of like a shower head area. Got some boards cut down the length and sanded, so that's going to run from the edge of the heater down to basically where the end of this cabinet is, because that'll be the start of the shower area. So it'll be a little before this guy ends, but that'll be fine. My hands are nearly frozen because it's still extremely cold outside, and I just spent all that time out there sanding these boards. So yeah, I'm gonna get these thrown up on here real quick, and then yeah, I'm also just now realizing an error I made because those bottom ones didn't need to be cut because they need to go all the way across under there, or at least they don't have to go too much further. So I might get some different boards for that, or we'll just cap that off a different way. We'll see, we'll figure it out. This wall section is finished. I didn't have any more 2x4s, at least not in here, and I didn't go looking around too hard. So I put, that's like a 1 inch, I don't know, 1x4, I don't know what you call it, but just to give a thicker thing to screw into, like a solid piece of hardwood for the cabinets to screw into. I still need to devise how I'm gonna do that and how far they need to be spaced out, because I kind of want that one to be like, I don't know, it's kind of weird because it doesn't have any of those. It has them up here, but it doesn't have any on this side, so this is kind of thin. So I don't know how I'm gonna screw this one down entirely. I mean, definitely at the top one, but I might end up screwing a piece of wood across there and then screwing it into that top part. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna secure this cabinet down. That one's pretty easy because it's got the drawers again. So but yeah, we'll figure that out in a few minutes. New problem discovered. So I noticed there was a leak inside the bus, or there's, I'll show you in a minute, but it's coming from this. As you can see, there's water pooling in the back of the water heater from rain coming in. So this gasket isn't doing its job, first off, and second off, remember how I said that warm day that it rained right after I sealed this? Well, that wasn't good because there's a bunch of water in the sealer and it's not sealed at all. So that's gonna need to be redone, and then hopefully that won't leak water into the bus. I also found one of my drill bits in here, so good thing I checked, or good thing it leaked. What? This isn't a good thing. This is no good. But yeah, I just came into the bus, which you know, I was filming in here just earlier, and there wasn't a trail of water from there to here. Since I'm parked on an incline, that's the way it'll drip. So I was like, what the heck? Yeah, it's coming from the water heater. It's just dripping out the corner of it because it's filled up with water. So yeah, that's not good. I got that first cabinet secured, the one around the water heater. And I guess this is gonna turn into a plumbing rough-in video because I'm just now thinking about it, like securing these PEX lines in between these cabinets. I will have this little gap there, but just doing that with the cabinets installed, I feel like is just gonna be a headache. Maybe not for the top one, but for the bottom one for sure. And my bottom one is gonna be determined based off of leftover hose, and so I'm gonna start roughing up some plumbing. I don't have any of the shower stuff yet, nor do I have a sink, but that's why we're just gonna rough it in for now. We're not actually hooking up everything, but I will explain how I'm doing some of these different things. Let me finish unpacking this pump because that's another reason why I'm doing this, so I can get these pumps mounted up into place. And then I know where everything needs to go and what changes I need to make, if any. So here's what we got for plumbing and how I'm gonna have it set up. So we'll start with the fresh water and work our way to the gray water. So fresh water inlet, the water coming in, we're gonna open up this 1.5 inch MPT. So this is 1.5, goes to a barb, 1.5 inch hose. This guy, because I'm gonna fill the water through this emergency window. So I'll come in here, just crack those open, and then from the outside, ideally I'm gonna have struts on these windows eventually, so I'll just be able to push it open. And then this little thing will sit right there, basically like that. But and this line won't be interfering with that, obviously, but
So yeah, it goes from 1.5 inch to this, and then it converts to PVC because I used, this isn't glued in yet, but this is just one of those clean out ports. This is 1.5 inch. So that worked perfectly. And that gives me a little fill port for pretty cheap because for some reason fill ports are not just like a super readily available cheap thing. So DIY fill port, and that'll just thread into there. And that is my freshwater fill. Now we do need a vent for both tanks. So I got 1/2 inch and then the top 1/2 inch port on both of these is going to be a vent. So they'll run basically, you know, parallel with each other and then down through the floor. So as I'm filling up the fresh water, you know your fresh water is full when you start seeing it leak out underneath the bus, because then it'd be coming out your vent as an overflow. Or obviously if it comes up to here, then we have clear hose on there. But that's the vent line for both right there. I'll drill the holes for those and get those in once the tanks are permanently in. But basically this guy will go to the bottom freshwater outlet, and that'll be my main water feed. Is going to be that 1/2 inch tubing, and it's going to be non-pressurized. It'll be suction on that side. So we're going to go 1/2 inch tubing from the bottom of the tank down to our feed pump. This is going to be our feed pump. It'll be mounted somewhere. I'm going to line that fitting up with the water inlet over there, or pretty much line it up. So I'm going to try to, as much as I can. I might actually do it a little bit like this, because this pump, actually, yeah, well, they say that you can mount it in any direction, but they say try not to mount it this way so that if water does start leaking, it doesn't leak into the pump. So they say if you're going to mount it vertically, try to do it this way. But I think we might just do it sideways like this, or we might just say fuck it and mount it this way, because this way was how I was originally planning to do it. So then that hose is nice and short, goes right from that back port to there, and then it goes from here into our water inlet, and then that'll tee off to our sink right up above. So that's the idea with that. I got this guy rather than running a second T, because then I would have had to get another T plus another PEX fitting to go onto this with just one. So I was like, I can knock out 2 fittings by just getting that one. So that's what I did. I did that one, so that'll splice off to my water heater and the sink for cold water. And then from the hot water outlet, we will go to this T right here, which will branch off our hot water to the shower, which will go back to that line down to the shower. And then the other side will go up to the sink, which I have fittings that'll go to the sink valves, the 3/8 compression ones. So these are quarter stop valves, just like a normal sink one. So I'll go from the PEX to the sink lines. And then this other pump is for our drain. So that's everything for our fresh water. Now to the gray water. So the outlet I still need to figure out, but here we go. Shower, I'll put a thing on screen maybe right now of the drain I'm planning to get for the shower. It's a low profile drain, but it has a 1 inch barbed outlet on that. So I'm gonna get some 1 inch hose, just a short little stretch, however long I need from that drain to this. And then this goes, I got a fitting on here that goes to the PEX. So I'll run a piece of extra PEX from back there, from where the shower is, down to here. And then this pump will get mounted right in there, or somewhere right in here. And it'll go from that PEX down to, and it'll pump into a barbed fitting. So that'll suck up the water getting drained from the shower, and it'll pump it into this guy. This is, I know, a little fucking janky and weird, but I wanted a drain spout so that things would drain downwards. So this will go on the 1.5 inch inlet back there on the gray water, and it'll give me this little drain spout so that my sink can gravity feed into this, hopefully, and then the shower will get, I had to do a concoction of adapters to get a 1/2 inch hose into this 1.5 inch hole. But that pump will pump the shower gray water into that fitting, and it'll drain down into our gray water. From there, I gotta plug that back 1/2 inch hole because that isn't gonna be necessary. And then we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to figure out some kind of way to get this drained. So I wanted a 1.5 inch, I got 1.5 inch barbed fittings because I want the water fill and the water drain to be as fast as possible. I don't want to have to sit there, you know, throttling the water fill because I can only fit so much through the hose, right? So I want my drain to be as fast as possible. So if this 30 gallons is full, theoretically with a 1.5 inch drain, it should only take, you know, like maybe 2 minutes to drain the whole tank rather than, you know, 10 minutes on a smaller hose. So, but one thing I did not consider is how big this freaking valve is, and that my gray water tank is on the floor. So this isn't going to be, you know, really gravity fed unless I put this valve underneath outside and have this fitting go, you know, straight down into the floor. So I got to figure something out for that. And I mean, I could put it at a slight angle, or just have it running at the floor level, but I don't know. I might have to rethink something for that. I also got a couple elbows for the PEX so that, you know, like the hot water can cut around that corner, and the sink ones can go up towards the sink. But yeah, that's basically all the plumbing right there. Not very complicated. What you see right here in plastic fittings, not including the pumps, but all this other stuff, and the PEX was about 155 bucks. And I do need a couple little odds and ends to get still, but that's not too bad, I would say. Here's where I'm at. I got the tanks pulled out because I had to do some drilling of a pump. It's kind of complicated because these pumps are kind of big and they just barely fit in there with all the plumbing. When I was getting all these parts together, I just thought of, you know, the size ports I have, what they need to adapt to connect to each other, and that's what I got. Now, getting them all connected is another challenge in and of itself. So basically what we got so far is the feed pump is in and the main line to the water heater is connected. The gas line is still exposed. I hope that's enough room. Should be just barely enough. I did break one of these clamps, so I have to get a new pack of clamps. I did replace it with one of the other fittings, but right now I am doing the run for the sink right now. The sink cold side, because shower is not going to have a cold side, so I only got one cold water to run up to the sink, and then the other one goes to the water heater to turn into hot water. And I'm going to put this quarter turn valve on it. Might have been better to get a 90, but I don't think it really matters because I'm going to put this there, and this will basically just sit right there. My hot water one will be right next to it, and then the sink hoses can connect to that right there. So yeah, I'm gonna get this one put on. I got, instead of buying a flaring tool or anything, I got these PEX lock connectors. So you just take some pliers and squeeze those and they lock in, and then to take them off, theoretically you're just supposed to stick a screwdriver in there, unclip it, and you know, you can reuse them. But it is very hard to pull these lines off after you've tried to clip one. Like, I've noticed that after one of them snapped on me. I noticed that the hose, since it got partially crimped on to the fitting, it didn't want to pull off, so I had to really yank on it. So we're going to be careful about not breaking any more clips. The cold side is finished, besides this fitting, which goes on the beginning there, and it'll come out of the feed tank I need to get a straight fitting to come out of the feed tank rather than a 90, so then I can just curve the hose because it's kind of tight going from here to there. So that'll be how I do that, and hopefully that clears the drain pipe, which will be right in that vicinity. So yeah, there's gonna be some working to do in that area. The drain pump is gonna be right in that corner. Here it is. I stole that 90 fitting off the heater for now, because I'm gonna use the blue tubing as the drain line because I don't need the blue tubing for anything else. And that's why I wanted to finish that cold line first. So this pump will sit screwed up right along there, just like that, basically right in here, and then that hose is gonna just snake around the pump. I mean, I guess I could lift it up some more, but you know, then we start encroaching on that drain, and yeah, so I don't want to keep that line low. So I think right about there is going to be where it goes, and then a PEX line will run from there behind all the cabinets to the shower drain, which I might just leave that whole length, connect one end, and then I can cut it down later. Which I'm cutting the PEX with my old airline cutter, which is basically, since this is 1/2 inch, they make 1/2 inch airline, and this is what you'd use to cut it. So you just want to make sure you get a nice flat and smooth cut on the end so that it seals up against the fitting wall. So yeah, I'm gonna slide this in at the back there, get that corner clipped on, and then try to get that pump installed. Okay, so I returned some parts and fittings, and I also got some new parts and fittings. So that big old ball valve that I had for the drain and the fittings for the drain, I returned because it's just not gonna fit. Now, another idea that I had, so I'm gonna have to compromise for a slower draining gray tank. It's gonna fill up just fine because I still got the 1.5 inch for, you know, the sink drain into the gray tank, but emptying the gray tank is going to be limited by how fast this this valve goes, because this is a much more compact setup. So I got 2 adapters here to reduce the 1.5 inch down to 3/4 because they don't have one adapter that just does that. So this will screw in right there, and then I can just attach a hose, a much smaller hose than 1.5 inch, which is basically a 2 inch hose on the outside. Rather than cutting that big of a hole in my floor, it would just be a hole this big, and it's a lot more compact, so I can just twist this, let it drain, close it up when I'm done, and bada bing bada boom. So I'm gonna get that installed in there. I'm gonna break this hole out, and that will allow me to fully put this tank back into place. I still have to put that fitting in as well, but I might save. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put it in now, and then I'll slide this tank in. Gray water tank is ready to go back in. Just to recap, plugged off this 1/2 inch hole on the bottom because it is not going to get used. If you had a secondary drain source or whatever, you can put that there. This is my vent line, so that'll just go out the bus so that air can move in and out of this. So as water comes in, air can go out. And I'm not going to mix this vent line with the freshwater tank because I don't want my fresh water to stink like gray water. And then we got the drain right here. It's just like a hose valve. You loosen that up, it'll drain it out, tighten it back up, and you're all set. And that's a regular 3/4, so if I ever need to replace that with something else, I can. And this is plastic. It was a couple bucks cheaper than a metal one. This is my drain inlet. Again, I have that Y piece that goes onto the drain inlet, so that will clamp onto there. And then my shower inlet at the top, sink inlet right there. And so yeah, let's throw this in. I got the shower pump installed. This hose is just sitting there. It's not actually connected, but I just wanted to see how the clearance was. I did connect the PEX line down there with the remaining blue. So that's connected to the pump there. So yeah, let me slide this tank in real quick. So something for me to consider for future installations, uninstallations. This tank did not, that fitting, the drain fitting did not want to slide through this gap. So you know, maybe it'd be good to notch this a little bit. I mean, that wouldn't hurt anything, I don't think. So then when this tank does slide out ever again, if it does for service, I can just slide it right around this pump rather than flexing this pump well past what it should be flexing at. But yeah, the tank is in there right now. I think it's fully seated. Yeah, there it goes. It was just caught up on the wood for the cabinet there. So yeah, that's in place. Everything clears down here so far. So yeah, it is a new day currently, and I'm continuing to work on plumbing. I don't know if I remembered to mention yesterday, I did rinse these tanks out. Since I don't have an air compressor, there's some plastic shavings from when they drilled the holes in them to put the fittings on. So I used my shop vac or vacuum to blow air into it and blow the plastic shavings out before I put water through it, because water will make the plastic shavings probably stick to it more than it'll help it rinse out. Yeah, I didn't put soap in them because I didn't want to spend a ton of time. It was like at the end of the day, so I didn't want to spend a bunch of time in water continually rinsing them out, because if you put soap in it, then you know, just one rinse of water is not going to get all the soap out. You got to rinse it a couple times, and it's kind of hard to get all the water out of these with how the fittings are without really shaking it. So yeah, right now what I'm working on is getting my hot water line. I bought another fitting for the one I stole off of there for the scavenge pump for the shower. So I'm gonna get that hot water line ran up and teed off, so then I can run to that one that goes to the back to the shower, and then also to another one of these valves for the sink. I picked up this valve as a shower valve. It's a little bird out there. But it's just a 1/2 inch valve, and I got some fittings to go into this. So I got a 90 right there. I couldn't find one that had a screwing bracket on it, because I wanted like a valve that had a flange off the side so I could just screw it onto the wall or something, but I couldn't find anything like that at my local store. So I just picked up that and some fittings to go into it, up to the shower head, which I'll get a fitting for that once I have it, so I can make sure I get the right size. And I also picked up these little copper things to secure the lines to the wall so they're not bouncing around too much. But yeah, let's get into it. Here's where we're at. I got the hot water lines put in and ran, so that's all crimped together and set, besides the shower area. Obviously I have the hot water and the drain line ready to be worked with, but I want to get this all cleaned up once I run the rest of the hoses. So right now I'm going to work on the flexible hoses that I'm going to connect one on the end of this guy that goes to the freshwater tank, which doesn't have to be very long. Actually, I'm not going to do that one yet because I have an idea for that. I'll explain in a second, but I definitely need to get the drain one from the shower. Sorry about that. I had to delete some footage or some old videos to get some more storage, but I'm going to use either one of these or this guy to get these clamps on from that guy to here for the drain. So I'm going to do that real quick and I'll get back to you. Here's what we're looking at now. I got this hose on. This tubing is very tight, and these 1/2 inch fittings that I got from the hardware store are very hard to get in here compared to the fittings that come with the pumps. Those ones slide on pretty easily to the 1/2 inch hose. These ones, not so easy. So that's gonna be fun, getting a hose on that vent hose or that vent line along with the other one. So I might try to cut the hose first before I put the vent line on the freshwater tank. But I'm waiting to put the main feed line on because I had this idea. I need to get a new fitting to go from this 1/2-inch port to connect to a hose, because doing the 90-degree one, like one of these, it's just gonna point it right into this drain. So I need a straight one and then just a bent piece of hose is what I was originally gonna do. But I was thinking, I was like, you know, if this pump ever goes bad, or, you know, something happens with my water system, I'm probably gonna want a main water shutoff valve. So with that thought in mind, I think I'm gonna get another spigot or something, some sort of valve, probably like the spigot right there, but a 1/2-inch version to go into this. So then I'll have a main shutoff from the freshwater tank. So if I do need to like pull this out for whatever reason, or do any type of water service, I can shut the main water off, or in case there's a leak before those valves, or just whatever the reason may be, I can shut the water off entirely. And then from that, if I put a little valve right there, it'll be hard to reach, don't get me wrong. Sorry, I had to freaking offload more storage because YouTube Studio was using 35 gigabytes for some fucking reason. But anyways, what the hell was I even saying? All right, the valve, it may be hard to reach, but I should be able to get underneath the counter and reach my hand in here to, you know, turn it on and off. But ideally, I shouldn't have to do that very often. And then from that valve, I will go to that guy, to the pump. I do need to leak test all this stuff and potentially adjust the pressure control on the pumps, but we'll get into that when we get into that. We still need to hook the shower lines up before we do that, or at least put the valve in. So I need to put wood up there because I think I'm gonna leave these lines on the outside of the wood, to be honest with you. Just leave them exposed for ease of serviceability in the future in case something ever happens. I don't have to pull too much of the bus apart, and it's just easy to put together too. All right, so I'm moving to doing some work in the shower area because I want to get these lines secure, or at least I want to get the shower valve in, so get this hot line put up. I know the drain is still kind of to be determined, but here's my idea for the shower setup. You can see I've started on it, but basically it's almost like doing like the shingle type of effect where like they overlap. So I started at the bottom, I put a board across there that's secured to that those boards from the cabinet, so that holds that bottom end out. This goes to the rail that goes across, so these boards are all secure. Still need to cut a little piece for the end there, but that may be where the edge comes in this way, so I may not cut a piece there yet. But I put the second layer up, and I'm just gonna keep working my way up with the wood that I have. But basically this is the effect that I'm going for, so then, you know, as water droops down, it'll drip down to the next one, and I can basically put an epoxy or seal up over all of this wood and fill in all these cracks and gaps is the idea. So then it'll be basically a whole layer of epoxy or sealer over the wood. Plus I will have a shower curtain that goes around as well, so the shower curtain should really, you know, mitigate most of it down to the bottom area, which should be a pan. But whatever else doesn't make it will hopefully go down the waterproofing of the walls. I got this area more finished up. I just got a couple little pieces to fill in there, a little piece to fill in there. Since this piece, I did put that there on purpose because there was this natural little break in it, so then I can slide this wire harness there, because that's pretty much where the shelf is going to end, because this is going to be the start of the bathroom, right? And this one also had a knot that fell out of it, so the wire harness perfectly sneaks right back out of it again, and then I can fish it back there behind the paneling that's going to go there. My idea for this section, because as you can see there's no insulation there yet, my idea at least is to run boards up past this part. I didn't put this one there because the shower head's gonna have to mount up somewhere right here, and I also want an access way to this marker light if I ever need to service it. So all this wiring will go up with that insulation there once it gets put in there, and hopefully there'll be boards that go straight up to tuck the insulation behind, basically. And then we'll fill in whatever's open from there. But I think this came out pretty good. I did cut out around the windows because, again, I don't want to put stuff over the window frames if I can avoid it. So I have the shingle style going up right there, and then it just goes flat again right here, and I can seal all those seams there. I put this water line into place and make it removed during the sealing process, but that is secured up, so if I put the cabinet into place, it's not flopping all over the place. There's my valve in place, so I can just turn my water on or off, and that'll get secured more once the next line is up. But I don't want to put that next line into place until I have the shower head, so I have a better idea of how the connection's going to go. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick break, eat some lunch, and then we'll come back out here and try to keep filling in some of this area and that spot and get this cabinet into place. I really want to get this drain line kind of somewhat more sorted before I put this cabinet into place, because you can see it's pulling from the wall there. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick break real quick so I have some better thoughts on what I'm working on, because I'll be fueled up. I had to run to the store to get a drill bit, hose, and the valve for the fresh water. So with this configuration, I put this elbow on the end of this valve. This is the only 1/2-inch valve I could find with a 1/2-inch outlet. So this will have to get mounted just like that in there. So that'll slide on there. This is in the open position. Closed is in the down position. It's literally the only position I can mount this valve is like that in there, because if I put it like this, there's not enough room, because the fitting is all the way in that corner. So for this to operate, I have to put it right in there, but that should work just fine. Other than that, I had to get a big old hole saw bit to cut out for this drain. That's 1.25 inch hole, and I also had to buy 1-inch ID, 1.25 inch outer diameter hose. So that's my drain hose. I'll just loosen that to drain the tank out and shut it, and it drains right over the rear wheels on the driver's side. Those 2 holes I drilled out for the vent lines, so I'll run a 1/2-inch hose from this guy down to there, along with the one from the freshwater tank. Now that all those holes are drilled and everything is put into place or mocked up, I can put the fittings into the freshwater tank and get that installed. Got all my fittings on. Don't be dumb like me, put your biggest ones on first. I had to take this apart slightly, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, because I put this one on first. I should have put this one on after that one, since that one is so big. But all the fittings are on and sealed up. I opted not to put clamps on my vent lines because, well, it's more clamps I'd have to find out of the garage and use, and I don't really think it's necessary, because it's not going to have water flowing through it all the time, only when it overflows for filling the tank. So other than that, it's just really air going through it, so I'm not really worried about that leaking water. So yeah, we're gonna see how easy it is to put this in. All the holes are drilled. The only thing that hasn't been done is the electrical, but I should be able to do that with the tank installed. So I'm about to see how hard it's going to be. I got to snake that fitting around that drain and then hook it up to the pump, which I could, I didn't tighten this yet, so I could just pull this off, which I think I'm gonna do that just for the ease of things. Actually, I'll leave it on there, but I'm not gonna tighten it up, and we'll see if I have to remove that or not to get the tank on. So it's in. I gotta put this back on there to support it. I did not have to remove that to get that line into place. I did move it out of the way after I got it into place, just to ensure that I got it fully seated on, and just to make it a little bit easier to push it together. One concerning thing I would say about this feed line setup and it being as short as it is like that is that the vibrations of the pump might shake around the tank and that fitting spot, which may not be good, but I guess we'll see what happens with that. And this strainer also kind of contacts this drain, so that might cause a little bit of extra vibration noise as well, which is not ideal, but I think it'll work. We got our vent hoses down there, which I still need to trim the length because they're like hanging on the tires right now. And I also need to put some mesh on the ends of all of those hoses so that nothing crawls up them or creates a nest in them or blocks it up over time. So yeah, we'll put some, I think I have some wire mesh that we can just stick over the ends of them, but I need to go trim them. All right, so I decided not to cut the vent lines since everything is right above the tire, and these were long enough. I used a hose, retainer type thing, a hanger, to pull one of these hoses over, and then I just zip tied the other one to follow it. So both of these are out of the way of the tire, and I didn't trim them. You can see I put the screen on that one so far. So I had this meshing. You can go to a hardware store, and usually they just have like cutoffs or extra pieces from them repairing people's screen doors and screen windows. So see if they have any extra metal screening, and then you just cut out a piece that's a little bit bigger than your hose. Take your hose clamp and then you just wrap it over the hose, just like that guy. And then you tighten it up, and no bugs should be able to get out of there. And it acts like a little screen for your hose. And I'll end up putting one on that bigger one too, but that one we'll talk about in a second. Let me get this other one finished. So I don't know the full logistics of this. From what I've seen online, a lot of people dump their gray water just straight on the ground. The internet says that's illegal and that you're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to go to a dump station. And if you're going to a dump station, you're supposed to have one of those, you know, special dump valves and the hose and the connector and all that shit. So I don't have one of those. I don't know where to get one of those. I don't know how one of those even connects to like this hose. So what I'm gonna do, and I don't know if you should do the same, which, I mean, you probably shouldn't follow along with a lot of the stuff I do, but I'm just providing ideas, right? So what I'm probably going to do for now, at least, is cut this so that it doesn't potentially interfere with the tire, because right now it is very close, and it can touch the tire. So I'm going to cut this down, probably like right there or something. Put the screen on it for now, and then potentially in the future I may get a connector and connect that to a proper setup, but for now it's just going to be like a discrete drain, which is kind of what I wanted it to be anyways, so that I could just open the valve from inside, leak the gray water out without anybody really noticing, and then go on my way. So this is the screen material that I'm using. And yeah, my hair is a mess because I forgot to wear a hat today. So I take my hose, I just place it on top, and I give it, you know, a little bit of extra room all the way around so that it can wrap around. What I'm going to do real quick though, since this is all frayed up on the ends, I'm just going to cut out an extra large piece, and then clean it up a bit. which, by the way, to cut this stuff, very easy. Either take a pocket knife or just a razor blade, tension it down, and just cut it. And it cuts very nicely, very straight, because it's thin metal. But I'm gonna clean these edges off real quick, and then we'll get this installed on our drain hose, and then the main portion of the plumbing is finished. It's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, I'm gonna finish this up. Okay, the hoses are all set in there, and if you wanted to clean up those little ends on there, you could take some scissors and snip those off, but it's not gonna make a difference in my case, and it's pretty well hidden. You don't really notice it when walking by. And I finished it just in time because it's starting to rain again. And that's a wrap on plumbing. Everything's put together as far as I really can right now, and that's probably gonna be the end of today's video. I cleaned up quite a bit in here. I tried to organize all my tools and fittings and whatever else. But yeah, the only things I got left for the plumbing are basic stuff. So once I get the sink in, I can hook up the 2 sink lines, which is very easy. You just thread those on. The sink drain, I imagine, is probably going to be a flexible hose of some sort that snakes through that area. And all I got to do is just adapt it into that hole, and there's plenty of space to do so right there. I got to wire those pumps up. The shower one's going to be on a switch for the shower drain. So I can just turn it on when I'm using the shower and let the water drain, and once it's done draining, I can turn it off. And then the other one, I didn't paint this tank. Now that I'm thinking of that, I didn't paint this before I installed it, so I'll have to end up doing something else to cover it from the light. Maybe I'll put some tape on the top, or a blanket or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out, or maybe some wool. But that should get covered from light, so I don't get a bunch of algae growing in there. But yeah, that's everything for the plumbing. The shower drain needs to be hooked up, obviously, once the shower pan is built. But obviously I don't know exactly where I'm putting my drain yet, so I don't want to cut that quite yet. And then I obviously need to do the shower head. But the rough, or pretty much all the plumbing besides the 2 fixtures that I have, are put into place. I still need to tighten those up. I'd love to do a leak test on this and fill that tank up. And by the way, the fill port fits in here perfectly. It's a perfect little location for it. Pop the window open, countertop will go right over it. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's that. 2 tiny last minute updates, since I already filmed the outro. As for this gray water drain, I'm gonna change that. I just need to get some new fittings. I did some research, and typically that would go to like one of those big RV sewer dump drain things, which I don't need one of those, nor do I want to adapt that hose to one of those and mount that up somewhere, because it's just unnecessary and it's more money. So what I found out was, at a dump station, it's just a hole in the ground. So I'm gonna take a garden hose threaded part and put it on the end of that hose. I may extend it somewhere that's more easily accessible, like maybe down here or something. But basically, if I choose to go to a dump station, I can hook up a garden hose to that and drain it where it's supposed to be drained with a dedicated hose. Otherwise, I can just drain it how it is and not hook the hose up. The other tiny update is inside. While I had that screen out, I thought to myself, you know, it'd probably be a good idea to put a little screen on my freshwater fill in case, you know, something like a little bug or something falls in there. So I just stuck a little piece of mesh in there, and it's just pressure fit in there because this guy's not glued in yet. And I don't know if I will glue that in, but basically that will catch anything that happens to fall in there by chance, so it doesn't end up in the tank. Thanks for watching. I hope you maybe found some information out of this, or maybe got an idea of how you want to do something for your build. Again, as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. If you're liking the content or the series, Hit the like button, share it, subscribe for more. 'Cause obviously, we're not done yet. There's going to be some more videos coming out. We got a playlist going. If you haven't checked out the old episodes, go do that because you missed a bunch of stuff. We're on, what, episode 16 now? I don't even know. I'm losing track because there's so much going on. But we're getting very close. Day by day, we're getting closer to a finished product. And I could not be any more happy with having some freaking plumbing in my bus.